Multiclass in Forza Motorsport's multiplayer is definitely different, but I don't think it's all that bad like I imagined it would be when it was originally announced. Some of you let me know in the comments that I should really check out this series, so here we are. Thanks for the recommendation and welcome back to HD Racing. This is the Open Series Multiclass hopper, with this one having 2 C-Class, 3 B-Class, which I'm a part of, 1 A-Class and a bunch of S-Class cars. I had a race before this which was a lot more balanced in terms of the group sizes, but it wasn't an interesting race and I also took a bad car for this whole racing. It was just not a good experience in terms of watching. So let's try again here. I did take another car. I built up the Abarth 124 Spider, and as I said, we are in B-Class, and you're gonna see in the beginning here already an interesting decision by Forza Motorsport how to approach multiclass, because you're gonna see, apart from the error message, ignore that, we have to wait a little bit, and it's actually the slowest cars that go first, and well, that's C-Class in this one, and now we can go in B-Class, and then afterwards the other classes also have to wait and can then go. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that later, but let's focus on the racing here. So as I said, 3 cars in this one in B-Class, and in practice we were kind of close in times, so let's see how this will go. So far, not too bad. Did get a little bit of a better turn 1, but here we're still side by side. This is actually not... Oh, whoa, okay, interesting line. I think we should have a way better exit here. Yeah, looks good. Let's see if we can keep that down the straight. I don't know if, like, both of them are using the Honda. I'm not quite sure which one that is, but definitely the same car. And I don't know if that's a meta car or something. As I said, I just picked a random car basically, which happened to be this Abarth, and I just tried to build it up as best I could without spending too much time, because I wanted to get this done and wanted to get a race in. In the last one that I did, I picked an already built car, which was a Mini Cooper, and it was behaving quite weirdly, and yeah, it wasn't really all that fun, and the race was not interesting. So let's see if this one will be better. So you can see, because the slowest car started first, we had to wait. We are now catching up to the C-Class cars. There are 2 of them in this one, and let's see if we can somehow get by these 2. We are not that much faster, but we are, and well, that is also true for the other cars behind. So the 1A class and the bunch of S-Class cars, they are gonna approach us at some point, and I'm really in a bad position here. Don't wanna force my way through here. Let's see. Oh, they are ramming as well. Well, did I slow down enough for this? Oh, looks like it. Okay. Didn't really have anywhere to go. I didn't want to follow the VW Golf. And I think it was a good decision to do a little bit of a cut there. I mean, I didn't really have anywhere to go anyway. And we actually made it past the slowest car class in this one. But yeah, as I said, I think this is a quite smart way to approach multiclass for these shorter races which Forza Motorsport has, because in normal multiclass the fast cars go first and the slower cars are behind, and only if those get then lapped by the faster cars is there any interaction. But in most other games or sims, those races are also way longer, so you actually have a couple of times that happens. In Forza Motorsport this is a, was it 15-minute race? It's not all that much, so I think this is a smart way to approach it. Let the slowest cars go first and have the other cars wait, and every car class has to wait a little bit before it can go after the car class before it went. And take a look at the minimap now. Our car class, which is B, is blue, and the other 2 cars should be in there somewhere. Can't really see right now. But the approaching yellow cars, that are actually the S-Class cars. And by the way, also take a look at the top. I actually managed to enable the virtual mirror in all perspectives, and that's actually quite helpful. That he just pushes his way past is not all that helpful. That was not that nice, but I think we at least survived, so let's see. So yeah, we need to be quite aware. One thing that I already noticed is that apart from the minimap, there isn't really any indication if there's faster traffic approaching, because there's no blue flag. And in the top left you can only see your own car class, so you don't even see in the differential times that someone is approaching you. You just have to look in the mirror and on the minimap. And there's 2 more approaching here, at least. Let's see. Oh, someone's really sending it into the chicane, but at least not into me, so let these 2 by. But yeah, this is also what I experienced in my first race. It gets quite interesting because depending where you start, and I decided to start somewhere in the middle with B class, you can overtake the slower class, but also the faster car classes are approaching. What was that? Okay, I think that in front, yeah, you can see the green name means that is A class. So this blue, what is this? This is a Renault? Could be, not quite sure. But yeah, that's A class. The other one that did ram into the back of me was actually an S-Class car, but I think he doesn't know how to control his car because he went completely off in turn 1. So let's see. I mean, the A-Class car will be faster, but not by much. Depending on how well his car is tuned, maybe we have a chance. And oh, if he outbrakes himself like that, then we definitely have a chance. So we're looking at the delta in the top left. We actually left our 2 Hondas that are in our same class, in B class, behind. Let's be careful here. Maybe we can compete with this A-Class car. That would actually be kind of funny. But yeah, as I said in the beginning, even though the last race wasn't all that interesting, at least to watch, and my driving wasn't also all that great, still the race was interesting because of the multiclass factor. And I honestly expected multiclass in Forza Motorsport just to be a bad idea, because people can barely drive clean as is in the normal sort of races. Expecting someone to pass you cleanly if they're faster, or people that are slower actually being kind of like keeping to their line and that they don't do something reckless or unexpected is not something that I would have said is a thing that you can expect from Forza Motorsport multi-class racing. But actually from the last race and even this one to a degree, it's actually not that bad. Like, I think this behind might be, yeah, I think that was the car that crashed in turn 1. So we need to be careful with him. But yeah, overall, multi-class actually doesn't feel all that bad. And the races actually, to me, are more interesting like this than if I were to just hop into an open series, like in this case B-Class hopper. They are not that interesting to me just because of the fact that balancing isn't all that great in these. There are some meta cars which are just very, very good for a specific class, and some other cars just can't compete. And I think in this one, because it's not that important to compete with your own class, I mean it is to a degree, but I think it's also just fun to have something else happening in the race, which is always something that I liked about multi-class. And to have even 4 classes in this one, it's interesting for sure. It's sad that it's a little bit skewed, that there are mostly S-Class cars in this one and the slower classes are not all that filled, but I mean that's not something that you can blame on Forza. It's just people seemingly want to mostly drive the fastest car class. But I decided for this first video I really wanted to do one of the slower ones. I was thinking about just going for the actual slowest one, but then I was like, maybe let's try something in the middle and just see how that is, because that way you could see that yes, we can overtake the slower car class with the 2 C-Class cars that we overtook at the end of lap 1, but also we are getting overtaken by the S-Class cars for sure, and also the A-Class car. Though, actually looking at it, that still is the guy in front here. So I'm still keeping up with him, which is interesting. Yeah, as I said, with this Abarth, I just kind of picked this somewhat randomly. The last race with the Mini, I didn't really have all that much fun, and it was front-wheel drive, and it just didn't feel fun, at least with my tune. So I decided, rather than to rebuild that, let's just take a new car and just try to make something work. And well, as I said, spent about 5, like maybe 10 minutes max, but it was probably closer to 5. And then just did a little of test driving here in practice, and did a little bit of fine-tuning, but not all that much. And it actually feels kind of good, I have to say. Not saying that this is the best tune for the car, probably not. And maybe also with like actual like meta B-class cars, it wouldn't be able to compete. That might be possible, but yeah, I'm gonna show the tune at the end, and you can decide for yourself if this is something that you want to try. You can just build it. I also will share the tune in game if you want to look for that. Just can search for my name and you will be able to find it, I think. But yeah, I'm definitely pulling away from the other two B-class cars, so either their tunes are not that great, or maybe it's just the caliber of driving. Not quite sure, but yeah, as I said, the car actually feels kind of great. But it looks like that there are not any more S-Class cars approaching. I saw some, like one on the minimap, but it's still quite far away. So I think we're actually gonna jump ahead a little bit and just see if there's anything more interesting happening in this race. Okay, what is he doing? I think we're back. Yeah, this might be a good point. We've got 3 minutes left, and this A-Class driver, I mean, maybe he decided that he wanted to have a little bit of a race still, because yeah, he was the only one in his class, so that's something that's like maybe he should have just switched to another class. You can still do that in these multi-class lobbies. What is he doing now? I mean, yeah, of course, avoidable contact. I think he was really taking it slow through there, but I don't know, like maybe he's just trying to make things interesting for himself, because he was just having a race with himself. So let's see if we can give him a little bit of a fight here. Something you're also gonna see at the end, which felt kind of weird at the first time that I saw this. This is actually a timed race, and if you get penalties, you actually get distance penalties, because that's what you're scored on at the end. And also the race is just gonna end immediately when the timer hits 0. So nothing like you might be used to from other games, where if the timer hits 0, the leader has to cross the finish line and then everyone else can finish their lap. That's not how this works in this one. The race is just gonna end when it hits 0 on the timer. Not quite sure why that is, but might just be because other people would have to wait a long time if they did it any other way, because the end screen is still not skippable. I think it's fine. And yeah, overall, even though this was maybe only in the beginning a quite interesting race, and then it just settled into, well, just driving on my own. That might just be because there wasn't enough competition in my car class here. Definitely was, I think it was more competitive in the last race, because there were just more cars in the class, but I was just in a non-competitive car and not driving very well, so. But yeah, let me also know what your experience is with multi-class. Have you tried it yet? And did you have fun races? Because, as I said, I only tried this because some people recommended it and said that it was actually quite fun. And I have to agree, it's way more fun than I would have imagined. I will definitely do more of these. Let me know if you want to see something else here, so I could definitely also do multi-class in the higher classes, so in this case S-Class, and then maybe see what that is like, being in the faster class, and oh boy, but race is over anyway. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think and what your experience is and what you want to see in the future. But I actually had fun, I have to say. This was for sure something that I did not expect to be this good. And I think, as I said in the beginning, the implementation of how this multi-class race starts out and really emphasizes the multi-class part by splitting out the different car classes, by sending out the slowest one first and then with a delay the faster classes, is actually quite a good implementation in my opinion. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then definitely do so, that would really help me out. Leave a like on the video, all that good stuff. But all I want to say now is thanks a lot for watching. I've been HG Racing. See you in the next one.